Good evening, and welcome to Geeks Assembled. This is film night, and we're going to be discussing a classic of the black and white cinema, Dracula, starring Bela Lugosi, Edward Van Sloan, originally written in 1897. And this was the first agreed version of Dracula. Previously, in Germany, they had made a film called Nosferatu, which was loosely based on Dracula. Superb film, but you didn't have Dracula, you had Count Orlok. But the basis of it was the same. The basic story was the same. And of course, the family of Bram Stoker, who wrote the story, because they hadn't given permission for it to be used, took the makers to court. And the agreement was that all copies of Nosferatu would be destroyed. Fortunately, they weren't. So we still have that silent black and white. But we're here to discuss the 1931 Universal version of Dracula. Try and pay attention. And we'll start with first thoughts. Daniel, your first thoughts on the 1931 Dracula.
Well, I haven't seen it in a while, but I gotta say, from what I do remember, I really, really liked it. It was much better than the new stuff today. I mean, sometimes, you know what they say, the oldies are the goodies, and that's really true. I thought Bela Lugosi was creepy as Dracula, and I just loved his I think it was his introduction to the movie when he came in and he went, "I am Dracula," and that made me laugh. That was kind of funny, but it was kind of creepy in some places where, you know, when Dracula was glaring at his victims and he saw that streak of light across his eyes, that was creepy, you know? Or whenever he said, remember when there was a part of the movie where he was sitting next to this woman and he was like, "Look into my eyes. What do you see?" And then he just went in there and just turned her or something. And that was really creepy. And I just really, really loved it. You know, I gotta get that whenever I can.
Okay, great. Right. Susan and Alex, or shall I call you Salix?
Susander.
Go ahead, Alex.
What about your first reactions to this?
Well, actually, the amusing story that I'll have to say is we actually saw this at a bank that I was working in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We actually saw it during the lunch hour, and I think this was the unedited version, so it ran a little bit over. I saw it again today. I'm pretty sure today's was a little tighter edited. But considering that it was the 30s, they did a lot with very little special effects. There's some characters that are a little silly, but most of them, it's well acted, and you can see how that was sort of the beginning of the horror shorthand, you know, like how they have the legends of Dracula and Frankenstein and the Mummy and all that stuff. And it still is a good movie. There's some lines that I probably would have cut out, or maybe a character I would have cut out, but it's still a very good movie, and they're still imitating it today, so you know that's a classic.
And I was properly freaked out by it. I loved the suspense and the drama of it. It was really rich in sort of fear and horror and you know, you just got inside Mina and Lucy's mind, and then boom, they were gone, and it was really cool, and I loved that it wasn't too over narrated. It was just it was really, to me, that was perfect. And Bela Lugosi is so awesome. I celebrated his birthday for like 10 years straight after I started watching True Blood. So yeah, I'm a big Bela Lugosi fan. So isn't he amazing?
He certainly is. What he certainly was. Right, Kevin, can we hear your thoughts on Dracula?
Yes, of course. I really liked it. It was my first viewing this movie, first time seeing it. I really liked it, and I'm only 18 years old. So, yeah, yeah, but it must be very cool to see in the 1930s, to see this movie for the first time, and it had a really big impact on the horror genre. The next came Frankenstein, Mummy, all the monsters that we know today. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Van Helsing was very cool. And Mr. What was his name? Weisenberg or something like that. And yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Good. Good. Right. And now over to Hull and Mr. Lee Wilson.
Having read the book, there is slight differences in the movie. I mean, this was based on the play, not it was loosely based on the play, which was loosely based on the book. One of the main changes in the movie was Renfield taking Jonathan Harker's place at Dracula's castle. But wow, those sets! How huge was those sets? They were large. Universal knew how to make sets. Yeah, it's a classic. As it says, as everybody said, the lighting on Bela Lugosi's eyes, the way he talked in his own Hungarian accent, and the way his hands were walking towards people. It's an awesome. I mean, okay, you have rubber bats, but it is 1931, and the eeriness of the wives of Dracula, those three vamp just walking through the mist, and it's very, very good. And the characterization of Renfield is, I've said this before. I mean, we reviewed Dracula on audio last year, and I said then that Renfield was one of my favourite characters in the Dracula genre, and the insanity of Renfield. Any Dracula movie, you've got to Renfield, and this one was one of the best. His laugh, it was really, but it was, it's gone down as one of the best classic, Universal monster movies. This was the one that started it all for them, and it's Bela Lugosi playing Dracula for the first time. It became an albatross around his neck, but by the end, by the end of his life, this was the role that was making him money. It's not a long film. It's only about 80 minutes long, if that. You can sit down and watch this from beginning to end and enjoy. I mean, the sceneries as well, where the carriages going through the pass and all that, wonderful sceneries. It's a marvelous film. I love this.
Good. Right. Well, as Lee has said, this film is an adaptation of the play, which was an adaptation of the book. And this wasn't the first time that Bela Lugosi played Dracula. Bela Lugosi had played it on stage in the play, along also with Edward Van Sloan, who played Van Helsing, and Herbert Bunston, who played Dr. Seward, all recreating the parts that they played on stage for the film. Yeah, it's really a very pared down version of the book. I mean, yeah, there are three big characters in the book that are not used at all in the film. You've got Arthur Holmwood, Quincy Morris, and of course Mrs. Westenra, Lucy's mother. They kept in the beautiful lady that was killing the children. But yeah, there was there's some wonderful moments, particularly when Renfield, played by Dwight Fry, arrives at the castle, and they're going up the stairs, and Dracula walks through the cobwebs with nary a cobweb on him, and Renfield has to use his cane to make a hole in the cobweb to get through. Wonderful, creepy moment. And of course, one of the most famous lines in this is, "I don't drink wine," which was used on stage. It was used in the film, but it never actually appeared in the book. Just a little. You know the Harbour Master? You heard the Harbour Master's voice after the shipwreck with Dracula coming to Whitby. Yes, the Harbour Master's voice was actually Todd Browning, who was the director of the film. Uncredited, of course, but yeah, the magical moments.
Todd with one D.
Sorry?
Todd with one D.
Yes, Todd with one D. For me, and also Carl Lamel, who was the big boss. His wife was one of the passengers on the coach. But the thing about this is as I say, it's cut down very much to the bone. For me, when I first saw it, because I had already read the book by then, the ending was a little disappointing for me, because the marvelous thing about it is they follow Dracula all the way back to his castle in the book. This doesn't happen in this one. He ends up being perforated in his London home. But yeah, I particularly enjoyed the bit with the flower seller and his face when he saw the flower seller. Then he went to her, and that was just really so very creepy and cold. And of course, he was buried in wearing one of his satin Dracula capes when Bela Lugosi finally died, and he was actually buried wearing evening dress and his cape. So right, anyway, any particular bits that you loved in this? Any actors or scenes or moments? Daniel, anything that you particularly remember?
I don't really remember very much about the movie. It's been a long time. I think it was like somewhere in like the early 2000s I watched this movie last time. So yeah, it's been a while, and yeah, so I don't really remember very much. So I guess I'm not really qualified to say anything about this.
Okay. Okay. Alex and Susan.
Of course, Bela Lugosi, of course, the Dracula performance was outrageously good. And, but the scenes where he's seducing the ladies and the scene where he turns his back on his three previous wives, I mean, those were really intensely kind of erotic scenes, and you know, as a vampire fan and as a Bela Lugosi fan, those were quite titillating. So yeah.
Well, yeah, Bela Lugosi was great. Of course, Van Helsing was great as well. Also, as I said, it's also the shorthand, so you can still see a lot of horror movies, horror TV shows imitating this. What's the other thing? Oh, yes, when Dracula says to Van Helsing, come to me, and they're having their sort of confrontation is very, very good, and I think that's what cemented the show the cross and scare the vampire away kind of stunt. So yeah, it was the woman that was taken over, her boyfriend or fiance, Count Dracula and Van Helsing. I mean, they pretty much made the movie.
Okay. Thank you. And now, Kevin, any moments that ring bells?
Oh, when Dracula is smashing the mirror, that was very cool. And I like the beginning, the beginning credits with the music. That was very cool. It reminded me of a musical score that can't not come up with it. But yeah, and that Dracula's is of course biting the women. I really like that part. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. And again, over to Hull and Mr. Lee Wilson.
Well, everything what Bela Lugosi did and the character of Renfield did it for me. But another quote from the film was, "Listen to them, the children of the night, what music they make," which is just the way he just stands on that staircase and says that. It just it blows me away every time I hear that. I say everything from beginning to end for me. This film is just A1. But there is a few things what I did notice. Wolfsbane, not garlic. Wolfsbane. So this was before the garlic craze took off. Also, we not once did we see any fangs, any teeth. We did not see any of that. We just saw him close up going to the neck. We didn't see any pointy teeth or anything like that. So it was the way they did that. And at Universal, I don't think they got the location right of Whitby and London. According to this movie, it was a 10-minute walk away from Whitby to London. I mean, Whitby's about 40 miles away from me. So, but apart from that, I just love this. It's brilliant.
Thank you, Lee. Yeah, well, for me, the one of the standout moments is where they've found the shipwreck and they hear Renfield doing that incredible laugh, and they open the door to the hold, and there he is coming up the stairs. Brilliant. And What was the other one? There was another moment that. Right, I've done the stairs. Yeah, that moment where Van Helsing realizes that he cannot see Dracula in the mirror of the box. That is just absolutely superb. He's rigid on it. Yeah, it's just brilliantly done, and as you say, no teeth, and that was the other thing, where the maid faints and Renfield is crawling across the floor, heading towards her throat. I thought to myself, well, you've got no teeth, but you can give her a very nasty suck. But it's just an absolutely brilliant, creepy moment. So now we'll go over to final scores and closing remarks.
Okay, well, we might as well start. Let me just say that this is classic. It's great. It's awesome. It's a phenomenal movie, and Bela Lugosi was, a wonderful performer, long term, beautiful. I'll celebrate his birthday in future too, and I'll give it a 10 out of 10. It's just wonderful.
Well, yeah, it is one of the classic movies, and it started the whole Universal line, and it started the whole horror shorthand, and people are still imitating it today, usually for humor. But I know I read the book, I heard about the legends and things like that it was based on. But again, it's a movie. It doesn't have to be completely serious or intellectual. Except for a few of the side characters or the Cockney English characters. It was a pretty good movie. In terms of the seduction, and I forgot how wordy the movie was as well. Sorry, Daniel, were you saying something? Oh, maybe he's talking to somebody off camera. I'd have to give it a 9 only because it started the whole shorthand movie genre that has gone into comic books, TV shows. It's had a big impact.
Okay, well, thank you. And Daniel,
Yeah.
are you there?
Okay.
Yeah, can we have your final thoughts and your score, please?
I loved this movie. It was really good. Again, this is much better than the new stuff that they have today. I thought it was pretty creepy, and I would give this probably a 10 out of 10. It was just that good.
A 10. Thank you, Daniel. And now, Kevin.
Well, I really enjoyed this. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Uh-huh. Okay. And Mr. Wilson.
Before I give my final thought, my final thought is I would sack the security guards at the asylum because Renfield was just walking about willy-nilly out of his cell all the time. It's, for me, it's a 10. It stands up to today's standards of movies. This one is the original and the best for me. 10.
Okay, so we've been joined by Susie. Susie. Hello. What are you doing? Ah, dear. Right, Susie. You're muted. Can you unmute and tell us what you thought
Okay.
of Dracula?
Oh, Dracula.
The bits that
Awesome.
you loved. Tell me the bits you loved.
Okay.
And then go for your final score at the end of it.
Thank you. Can you hear me just fine? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, good. Well, I'm on the train. I loved Dracula. I thought it was awesome. And specifically loved Bela Lugosi. And who the guy was that...
Edward Van Sloan played Van Helsing. Ah. Oh dear. You may have a little bit of editing to do here. So we'll give her a moment.
It was really great.
Edward Van Sloan played Van Helsing. Hello? Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear.
It's probably the train isn't giving the best internet signal.
Possibly not giving any, by the look.
She's mostly gone in a tunnel.
Yes. Yes. Oh.
Did you get that or no?
No, darling.
Oh well. I gave it a 10.
Oh, you gave it a 10. You loved
Yeah.
it.
Bela Lugosi and the guy that played Renford, whatever his name is were both fabulous. That's why I gave it a 10. We've got better effects now, but I just think we can't improve upon those two. They were fabulous.
Were there any moments you particularly liked in it?
I liked all of the times when he was looking up into the camera. I thought those were great. And when he was just subconsciously talking to, especially Renfield, and Renfield kept saying, "No, Master, I can't." The moments with those two actors, I really liked the best.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you very much, Susie.
You're welcome. This is Susie signing off from somewhere in Pennsylvania on a train.
Okay. What? Now, mine. As I say, I've read the book. I've seen the film countless times. I mean, it was only 17 years old, the film, when I was born, so so it was quite modern when I was a kid. I absolutely love it. The magic of Lugosi just cannot be touched. And the extraordinary thing is, of course, that he was actually offered the part of Frankenstein's monster when they made Frankenstein, and he turned it down because it was a non-speaking part, and all he would do would be grunting, and that wasn't him at all. But yeah, absolute piece of cinema magic, and it gets a gold-plated 10 out of 10 from me. And so, we've come to the end of another Cinema Cast. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'd like to thank everybody for being here. I'd like to thank Susie for managing to join us. Well done, lady. If you've enjoyed this cast, please hit the subscribe button below and leave your comments. Please leave comments. We do love to read the comments. I like a good laugh. Now, you can always get in contact with us on Facebook, Twitter, Skype. I think there's one other, but I can't remember the name of it.
Tumblr.
Yeah, Tumblr. Yes, that's it. If you want to join us on a cast, please contact us, let us know, and we'll be pleased to see you. So, have a wonderful week, and we will see you all again very soon. Good night.